Hey, Mosa, how are you? Hey, good morning, Mosa. Good morning. Breakfast is served.
Hello, beautiful Gdansk. Спасибо большое.
Хорошего дня.
И вам.
So we are here in the western area of Gdansk, kind of west of the city, taking care of some medical stuff for Marina, some routine stuff. And while she's waiting in there, I'm gonna run out real quick and get a haircut. But before I do that, I just want to remind you guys that I've set up a PayPal donation. 100% of the proceeds will go towards buying supplies, food, everything that they need at the refugee center that we went to in one of the previous videos. And so we plan on going there on March 27th, which is next Monday. And so the donation will run until then. We've already gotten some money, so that's really nice. Thank you so much to all of you that have donated so far. We are gonna collect all the money and we're gonna go in there and we're gonna buy them supplies, food, everything they need. It's gonna be great for them. So definitely take a look at the link in the description of the video. Every little bit helps. It doesn't need to be a lot. Every little bit helps because we're just gonna tally everything up and go to the store.
Many minutes later.
Dzień dobry.
Alright, so I just got my haircut, and to my surprise, the woman that was giving me a haircut was also from Ukraine, but she had been here for like 3 years now. And Marina also had some hair done recently, and her hairdresser was also Ukrainian. And then when I took the taxi to this place and then back from the haircut, both times it was two Ukrainians there, but they all came before, so they've been living here for a couple of years. And this is kind of surprising to me because I didn't realize that here in Gdansk, not only would Marina's hairdresser, my barber shop, the taxis, and I would say like the Russians are like, I wouldn't say it's 50%, yeah, like 50%. 1 out of 2 trips, maybe a little bit less, were Russian speaking. So they would be Ukrainian, Russian speaking. And what I realize is that there are people here that they immigrate to Poland and they spend all their many years living in a bubble, right? So potentially you don't even need to learn Polish. And that is the same as in New York. That is the same all over different immigrant communities all around the world, right? So you can get help, you can get assistance in your own language. You have friends. And I know in New York you have Brighton Beach, where many people live years and years and years without really mastering English. Personally, I'm more of an integration. I like to integrate into society. So for me, if I decide to stay in Poland, Polish is going to be my #1 priority. Same thing for Marina as well. That's a big thing. But this is something that I remembered, after living in New York, how you have these immigrant communities. And so it's the same thing here, I suppose. It's probably more so in Warsaw or in Krakow, those cities that are like more popular with immigrant communities. But still, that is very, very interesting. Interesting observation here to us as well. And so speaking of foreigners driving cabs and doing other services, the driver of that cab is Belarusian. And he came to Poland just 3 months ago to escape Lukashenko's regime. And so many, from the former Soviet Union republics, people come here from Belarus, Ukraine, all over the place. And right now we are going to be entering the only kind of main store that we still haven't entered, and that's Aldi. I heard it's actually one of the cheapest brands, maybe even cheaper than Lidl, or at least on the same level. And so we're gonna go in, and I have an expert here who is gonna help me decide if it's cheaper. That expert is right here. And so we're gonna go see how it is. Alright, so we finished our shopping and we got this bag here, a ton of stuff, and it's only 50 zloty. And according to our local expert here in the region, Marina, she tells us that it's actually cheap. It's kind of like Lidl or Biedronka, so it's on the same level, so that's a good thing. From what I read, Aldi is on the same level as Lidl, maybe even cheaper. And so definitely let me know what you guys think. What your experience is when it comes to Aldi. But it wasn't bad. It was actually very, very economical. And today for lunch we discovered this other bar, and it's a Chinese restaurant, so we're gonna check it out to see if it's any good. Alright, so here we are in the restaurant, and I think it said this is a bar, but I don't think this is a bar. But I love Chinese food, and this looks like really nice Chinese food. We got the soups. I love Chinese soups, and it looks fairly economical. So maybe I'll have a soup and then maybe something else. We'll see. We will see. Lots and lots of choices that we can choose from, but it all looks very, very tasty. At least the pictures do. Alright, so I'm definitely gonna have the wonton soup. I remember this as something I really liked back in the day when I lived in San Francisco, and San Francisco has a big Asian community, so I used to go to Chinese restaurants all the time, and I used to have my wonton soups, which I loved a lot, and then I'll have maybe a main dish, maybe something basic, fried rice with beef or something like this. Yeah, any of this looks actually good. Pork sweet and sour is usually pretty good. Chinese food is awesome. Alright, we got our wonton soup. How is it? Is it good?
It's good.
How does it taste? Cool?
Yes, yes. But it is hot.
It is very hot right now. Alright guys, so bon appetit. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are. Alright, so we just killed the soup, and I gotta say, man, I love Chinese food, and this soup was awesome. Really good. The problem is it's very hard to find good Chinese restaurants in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine. They're not as authentic as I would have liked them to have. And obviously in the US they have really good Chinese restaurants, and here so far this restaurant is amazing. The soup is really, really good. It's so good that I might even come back like real soon to have the soup again. Really, really good soup. And then we got this dish here with all kinds of stuff, and we're gonna be sharing this thing because it's too big for one person. So we're gonna be sharing that with a side of rice. So that was really, really good Chinese food. Actually, really good. And I'm already thinking when we're gonna go back to this place, because it was so good that I'm already thinking about the future. Very cool, kind of a hidden gem. Because we didn't see anybody recommending this place. Maybe if you did, then you found it, but it was really, really good. So it's been almost a month since we arrived to Poland. It's hard to believe that it's been that long. It feels just yesterday that we arrived at the border crossing and then to Lublin. And so at this point we really need to decide kind of our plans and where do we want to kind of, settle and really kind of put an anchor, so to speak. And me and Marina were talking about it, and we started to think that I think instead of kind of looking at other places, right here, this country could be a really solid option. And that is because, there's pretty much everything that we need is here, right? You have great infrastructure, you have fast internet, you have beautiful cities, very, very welcoming and friendly people. And so we start to ask ourselves, do we really need to look beyond? And, the fact that Marina still has her remote job for the time being, and I working on a bunch of projects that will hopefully be successful, we figured that this could be a good match. And coupled with the fact that we don't really need to live in big cities, we can live in a smaller town outside and save some money. This could be a really good option. And so once we kind of decided, okay, we're gonna stay here, we started to kind of look into ways of making it official. And so this is where it gets a little tricky. So with Marina, it's very straightforward. She automatically gets 18 months of it's called protection, and basically it's kind of like a temporary residence permit. She can get her PESEL number, but with me it's tricky. And so what we did yesterday was half a day. We basically went from one government office to another and tried to figure out how I can get legalized. Because the thing is that, so we went to that PESEL place where there was a big line that I showed you in one of the previous videos, and now there wasn't a line, but the guy told me straight up that I cannot get it. Okay, it's just not possible, but she can get it. So we talked for a little bit, and he said, why don't you go to the city's the city government office, the city hall, I think that's what he said. And so we went to the city hall. We talked to one lady in one department. She said, go, talk to these people. And the whole time I'm telling him, listen, I'm a US citizen, but I came here after the war, after it had started, but I have permanent residency in Ukraine. So that's kind of my little, just to show them that, I'm not some tourist that is just, traveling throughout Ukraine and all that. And so they were very, very helpful. I talked to one lady at this kind of city hall. Then I talked to another lady. And ultimately what they said is that I need to go to another office. I need to go to some foreigners' office in another location. So this was the second office that we talked to. They told us to go to a third office. We went to the third office. There was a huge line, and this is a place where a lot of foreigners go. They need to renew their residency. They need to, they have questions. So that was a huge line, and we were able to talk to a lady right then and there. She took my passport. She took my permanent residency permit, and she went away, and she disappeared for like 15 minutes, and then she came back and she said, okay, here's what you got to do. You gotta call this office in Warsaw, and this is a foreigner's office in Warsaw, and you can call them and you can tell them that you got all these documents, and they will be able to help you. So I couldn't do it that day, but because it was too late. It was like 5 or whatever, 6 p.m. and the office had closed at 3 p.m. And so today I called them at 10 a.m. and I spoke to them. It was great. I figured, I'm gonna have trouble reaching them. But, I waited like 5 minutes. I was on hold. And then I spoke to a lady, and she explained to me in English that she is not sure how this works. But once I told her that
I have a Ukrainian permanent residency, she started to think, she's like, hold on a second, let me check with somebody. She's like, we may be able to help you. And then, she put me on hold again. And then she finally told me, okay, wait 2 days, so until this Friday, because there might be another law where if you have the same kind of status as me, so in other words, there's going to be a law that might affect people like me, and that will hopefully will simplify things for somebody like me. Because one thing that we learned is that every country has different rules and regulations. For instance, in Portugal, people like me can apply easily with Marina. In Germany, people like me can apply. In Poland, it doesn't work like that, right? It doesn't work like that because, different rules, different regulations, stuff like that. And so at this point, I'm gonna wait until Friday. I'm gonna call them back. She said there might be some law that could be enacted in the near future, maybe on Friday or maybe tomorrow, that will hopefully help me out. She was hopeful though, but if it does get enacted, I think I will have to travel to Warsaw to this foreigner's office and wait in line and kind of do the whole procedure there. I think that is the only place. Or maybe I will be able to do it here in Gdansk. The thing about it is that, things are evolving rapidly. A lot, things are changing so quick. But we also don't want to wait, another month. We want to kind of do it and start thinking about our future. We want to start thinking, are we going to stay in Gdansk? Do we want to go to another city? Do we want to go to Poznan? Which is actually the first city that I ever came to Poland. This was like 10 years ago. My first visit to Poland was to Poznan. Are we gonna go there, or are we gonna go to the south to Krakow or Wrocław or any of that? So that is another thing to think about. Now, in terms of our future here in Poland and in Europe, really, I think that we will eventually leave Gdansk because with the tourist season coming, it's gonna be a little tough to kind of live here. There's going to be a lot of tourists. The prices are going to go up, even if it's like 30%. And most likely we're going to try to settle somewhere else in Poland. So I don't know if this is going to be a large city or this is going to be one of the smaller cities. We're not really sure. Although I can tell you that I'm definitely a big city guy. I'm not like a rural guy. I'm not like a farm boy or anything like that. All my life I've lived in big cities. I was born in a relatively big city. And so I think for us, it's going to be an option of big cities. So right now we're thinking like, okay, we got Poznan, we got Gdansk, obviously, we have Warsaw, and we have Krakow, and we have Wrocław. So if we're going to leave Gdansk is not an option. Poznan, it's a cool city. I was there long ago. I still kind of remember. It could be an option, but I think Poznan is about 500,000. And we're looking for something bigger. So maybe an option could be like Wrocław or Krakow, which are great cities by all accounts, but there's so many people there now. And that's why, even if they're kind of ideal cities, I think Krakow, everybody says, at least in the comments I've seen, like Krakow is a beautiful city, it's a great city. I haven't been there yet. I think some people said it's very, very similar to Lviv in Ukraine, which used to be a Polish city, in fact. So that is an option. Another city that kind of piqued my interest is Wrocław. It's a nice location where it's like kind of western Poland. It's in the south of the country, so it's gonna have a milder climate. It's not gonna be as cold as some of these northern cities. So there's that. Plus, I've never been there yet, and a lot of people have said the same thing on comments. I heard about it from other people in real life, is that it's a great city as well. So maybe that's going to be an option. But I think what's going to happen in the near future is that it's going to be tough for us to find something for April because it's just such short notice and it's just crazy what's happening right now. And so more likely than not is that we may just for April go somewhere to like a smaller city, just sit it out, because I've been looking at apartments, OLX and Airbnb. It seems that on Airbnb it's getting a lot easier for May, at least now. So maybe for April we might need to go somewhere else. I don't know, a smaller city, maybe leave Poland, although I don't want to do that, and then come back in May when it seems like it's getting a little bit easier. There's just a little bit more inventory, prices are a little bit less crazier, so that is an option as well. But that is kind of a last ditch kind of thing. We definitely do not want to do that. We definitely want to stay in April and in May, and then get something more long term. And so that is kind of what we are looking at right now. It really depends, you know, if Friday is going to roll around and, you know, we'll be able to register and do everything by the book and do everything correctly. That's going to simplify the process a lot. That is kind of what we have. If you guys have any interesting information, anything to add, definitely leave it in the comments below. You guys have been amazing, definitely helping us out with everything. Another reminder is that we are still running that donation fundraiser for the refugee center. So we're going to be collecting all the donations, going to be tallying them up, and then we're going to buy supplies and food and things like that, and we're going to deliver them probably on Monday of next week, Monday at the latest.